Hello and welcome to the Johnny Football Show. I know some of you guys may have wanted to tune into VU Sports Wired, but we have collectively agreed to change the name to the Johnny Football Show after the great 21-20 victory over Charleston Southern.
Legendary.
Legendary indeed. This was the first time we got to see my main man, Johnny McCrary, on the field for more than 3 passes. Apparently 2 for 3 with both those passes to the other team was not satisfactory for Derek Mason in the opening game against Temple. But once he gets multiple passes in after that, he's a pretty solid quarterback. What did you see out of him in that game?
You know, I think one of our colleagues called him a big playmaker. Every play seems to turn out big, whether it's for us or the other team. So he started off this year with throwing those 2 interceptions, which Temple definitely took advantage of, but he had some good plays for us.
Yes, certainly. We saw it right off the bat. We had his first pass of the game connected to C.J. Duncan for 65 yards. That was some play. That was the moment I really almost screamed Johnny Football in the middle of the press box upstairs. He did have one other nice pass there on his own 4-yard line, 2nd and 9, feels the pressure, starts running around, and finally connects to Nathan Marcus for 24 yards. Just look at that. Oh, beautiful. Oh, that was Chandler Durrell. But anyways, lots of great moments out there. It really sort of sparked the offense and something great. Oh, here we go. There we go. Running around the pocket. Here he sees the guy coming back and connects. And my favorite part about that play was how he talked about it after the game. He's all smiles and just has some great breakdown of this great play.
Honestly,
You know,
I threw it. I see. Yeah,
there he is.
Play. It was a normal play.
What
I read the flat, and then I looked back, and he was so wide open, and I was like, "It's made to happen." And I just threw it up. And when I threw it up in my head, kindly, I was like, "I think I threw the ball way too far. I'm gonna miss him." But I forgot it's CJ, so I threw it, and then he caught the ball, and it was amazing. It was like, it's breathtaking when you see the ball catch by one of your best wide receivers, and you celebrate with your lineman, and you go to the sideline, and everybody's just happy, and helps us make games like this pop.
Yeah, you could just see that boyish excitement in his eyes. You could see even from the other players talking about him, they all love to play for Johnny. I'd heard from several football players before the season that they were surprised that Johnny wasn't the starter. And you can see there's so many freshmen playing on this team, redshirt freshmen that came along sitting out a year with him. And now that they've already made it and he's finally made it, hopefully, there's a lot of excitement around this offense that finally got something going. There's only been 9 offensive touchdowns in 7 games, but he really sparked something in that team.
Yeah, I liked what I saw from him, definitely, and I didn't think Freebag was having that terrible of a game either, but Johnny definitely brought new life to the offense. I hate to say it, though, but if you do the math, really the only reason why we won is because we had that 2-point conversion where the holder, Taylor Hudson, threw it to Andrew East. But I did think that Johnny had a strong performance, and if he keeps that up, we could possibly beat a Florida or a Tennessee later on this season.
Yeah, you talked about Wade Freebeck there. There was an interesting decision by Mason to bench his true freshman starting quarterback. After the game, he said that he had already made up his mind that he was going to play Johnny 4 to 5 series in, and he said that a bunch of times this year about different players, about, oh, I was always sure I was going to play all 3 quarterbacks in the first game. Oh, I was always sure I was going to pull this guy after a certain amount of series. I don't mean to be the cynical one. I just think that he's just has a lot of bad quarterbacks, and eventually one of them works out. But whatever happened, they finally landed on, hopefully, the starter for the rest of the year.
He would love that.
I would love nothing more. Looking ahead, we've got Missouri next week. This is another interesting matchup because we've got Matty Mock on the other side of the field, a running quarterback, a little bit sort of like Johnny McCrary, but just a little worse, Fun fact, last game, Matty Mock had 18 passes, completed 6 of them for 22 yards. That's a solid 1.1 yards per pass. Do you know what Johnny McCrary's yard per pass was last game?
Tell me.
I don't know, but it was a whole lot higher than 1.1. Now, this is 2 straight games actually for Matty Mock that he has not been very good. Against Georgia, he was held to about 90 yards. Against Florida in a game they won by over 20 points, he didn't complete but 6 passes. In fact, Florida's defense only gave up 13 points. Only problem was Missouri had a kick return, a punt return, a interception return, and a fumble return for a touchdown. This is a team that can really take advantage of mistakes, and they've been very good on special teams, just like Vanderbilt has with Darius Sims. It's an interesting matchup for sure in Columbia, just our 3rd road game of the year.
I think it's going to be really refreshing for our defense, too, especially our secondary, which has struggled this season. You know, they've faced some really, really good quarterbacks, and maybe Matty Mock is kind of slumping right now, and I think they're going to look forward to facing him.
Yeah, we saw last year against Missouri that pretty sad, the final edition of the James Franklin Bowl, a pretty sad homecoming game, but they really got off to a fast start, went up like 28-0 in the first quarter. The big thing for Vandy is they cannot fall behind early, because this team is, until Johnny Football showed up, has not been able to pass the ball very well and has been heavily dependent on Ralph Webb in the run game. So if they fall behind 28-0, there's no way they're scoring 28 points, but they just have to stay within striking distance of Missouri.
And now we've proven that we will do some tricky things. We will, put ourselves out there to try to get the win, which is also good when these potentially close games coming up.
Yeah, it seems like every week Derek Mason says, we need to get Trent Sherfield and Darius Sims the ball on offense. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's 5 guys we need to get the ball 5 times each, and it just never happens. But maybe this is the game.
This is
the game that they break out the stuff in Missouri, because this is a game that's not winnable, but maybe winnable. Vanderbilt has to, aside from Old Dominion, win 3 other games. Florida is not a very good team. Tennessee is not a very good team. Keep in mind, of course, Vanderbilt's not a very good team. But Missouri, they've beaten South Carolina by 1 point, and South Carolina's pretty bad. Aside from a Georgia win, their team looks very, very bad. We've got Florida, who got blown out by Missouri and got just destroyed by pretty much everyone else. We've got UT, who hasn't been much better. So those are 3 games that are at least a 30% chance of winning, I'd like to say. So they really, really need to put on a good showing against Missouri here.
I think if we lose by less than 10, we'll really make a statement, because in a weak division, the weaker division of the SEC, just keeping it close to a team who's on top like Missouri will show the others that we're not as terrible as some might say.
Yeah, the interesting thing here is that the line, I want you to guess what the line is for this game.
I would say, it seems like the lines lately have been not, the spread has been increasing closer to game time, so we still have a few days. I'm going to guess maybe 23.
Yeah, it was 24 last I saw, which I think is very, very high. I don't know if they're assuming that Missouri's going to score 28 and shut us out, or what's going to happen, or give up a field goal.
Yeah.
I can't see Missouri scoring that many points, but I would assume Vanderbilt would at least get like 1 touchdown. Although, yeah, again, 9 offensive touchdowns in 7 games is nothing to brag about. Maybe it's just blind hope, but I'd like to think that Vanderbilt at least has a shot in this game.
It's the Johnny Show, so
yeah,
of course we have a shot.
We've got another segment of Johnny coming up. It's our brand new segment, To the Time Machine.
Our first question, what if our football team was any of the past 3 years' teams? Where would we be in this current stacked SEC?
All right. What a great voice we got in the background. So right now, from your Vanderbilt Hustlers Power Rankings, I'll read them out to you real quick, or you can look at them on the screen. The bottom 4, to me, the bottom 4 non-Vandy teams are all not very good. This is, of course, SEC quality, not very good. But looking at the schedule, I think that with a Jordan Matthews, with a non-Patton Robinette quarterback, and a whole bunch of other players that aren't freshmen playing, we've got a bunch of winnable games. I think Temple is a very winnable game. I'm going to mark that as a win. We've got Ole Miss as a loss. We've got UMass was already won. I think they could beat South Carolina. They were within a touchdown at the very end with a pretty bad team. I think UK is a win. All of a sudden, that's a 5-2 team. which really puts them around the territory of Arkansas and Missouri. I'm going to tentatively put this team at. I'll put them at 10, and I'll put them at 9. No, they're at 9 for sure. At 9, they beat Missouri 2 years ago, so we'll get the edge over Missouri there at Missouri.
Yeah, I think it is there's so much talk about it being a great SEC this year, just because we have so many teams in the top 25 and in the top 10 even. But I don't know. I think we would be looking a lot better if we had, Austin Carter-Samuels, even though no one really liked him when he was here. But now, in hindsight, he was pretty good. I think that we could have beat Kentucky, even though they definitely are having a better year for them. And we would have had the win over Temple. I think that we probably would be 12 or 13. I'm not as optimistic as you.
So do you have them at 4-3 right now?
Yes.
So they still lose to Temple?
Yeah, no. They beat Temple, and no, I have them at
5-2.
5-2.
And they're
The same as you. But I don't know.
They beat South Carolina, and they're behind them.
No, I don't have them beating South Carolina, actually.
So they're 4-3.
Yeah, 4-3. Sure.
Yeah, this is the Johnny McCrary show, not the math show. All right, that's where we'd be. Ben's the optimist.
Yeah.
Allison's grumpy.
For our next question, what if Stallings had all of his players from the post-SEC championship team? Sweet 16 bound, top 25, what would we look like?
This is an interesting question because the basketball team this year is not going to be very good, and that's because they're missing 5 incredibly talented players. We've got a really good graphic up there for you, but we're missing Kedron Johnson, the leading scorer for a while. Eric McClellan led the team in scoring last year before, stealing and cheating. Kevin Bright, who was a very promising freshman, had a little bit of Jeff Taylor in him. Sheldon Jeter has some size that we could really use. And Dejon Parker, who was probably the 3rd best player on last year's team and would have been the best or 2nd best player on this team. In my opinion, the starting 5 probably looks like those 5 and Damian Jones instead of Dejon Parker, with Parker coming off the bench, or you could put him in for Kevin Bright. But that is definitely a tournament team to me. And the cool thing is you have so much depth even beyond that. I guess you've even got Shelby Moats coming off the bench, Josh Henderson. No, but the important thing is they've got at least 6 very talented players right there. And in this SEC, where basically only Florida and Kentucky look like they're going to be very, very good, that's a team that could steal a game in the tournament and reach the round of 32.
We had a headline a few years back and it just read, "The future is bright."
I wrote that one. It was a great article.
Oh, you wrote it? Oh, well, obviously it was good then. But we saw so much in Bright, and he really could. I think if we had at least him, we would have been a tournament team last year. Because I disagree with most people. I don't think last year's team was terrible. I think given the number of players that they had, what they did was quite remarkable, actually. And I don't think we're going to be as awful as some people say this year either. Because it's basically that team, but with more bodies. But I think if we had kept at least some of those people, I don't want to say that we would have been like a Sweet 16 team or anything like that, because we don't historically play very well in the tournament, even if we do have a very good team. So I would say, though, that if we had those pieces, we would be a tournament team.
So round of 64?
I mean, yeah. I don't want to say, I don't know how far we'd advance, because that depends on who they'd pit us against, obviously, but I'd say we'd probably be like a 11 seed around there, maybe.
Grumpy. Next one.
This last one's for you, Ben. What if Johnny McCrary started all of the games this year?
Well, for starters, I have to say how unimaginably painful it was to do a non-Johnny football question in there for this opening segment. But, you have to say 7-0, right? I don't know if you watched that game, but he was electrifying.
I was sitting right next to you, but...
Check out these moves. Look at that footwork. That accuracy, all 65 yards. Oh, the pocket presence.
You do,
Ooh, kill him.
you do have a problem, though. I know you love Johnny probably more than anyone at the school, maybe in this country, but you can't just forget about what he did in that first game when he came out. I mean, that was horrendous. It wasn't even like, oh, it's a pretty good pass, the receiver should have had it, but, they just snuck in there and picked it off. It's like, no, he was pretty much passing it to the other team. So I don't want to say that, Franklin left, like, screw him. If we had McCrary, we would be the best team in the country.
Right, but, like, look at Texas A&M after Johnny Football left. They're not playing well at all with Kenny Trill at quarterback. That's the kind of difference that Johnny Football makes.
That Johnny Football, but not all.
They're one and the same. They're both wearing number 2. I don't get what the difference is.
Johnny can't scramble.
Oh, did you not see him?
McCrary can't scramble like Manziel.
Did you not see that 24-yard pass to Nathan Marcus?
It's a one-time thing.
He scrambled for a first down also.
I think, to answer the question, I think the sample size is too small, and I'm not willing to make any conclusions about a only Johnny team.
So you're being a little pessimistic here. So we talking like 6-1?
I think that if we had some I'll say if we had consistency at the quarterback spot. So I'm not saying Johnny, I'm just saying if we had one quarterback who played consistently, I'm not good with numbers. I think we would have probably 4 wins. So we've 7 games?
Yeah.
So 4-3. But I'm not
All right,
saying
so
I'm not going to say Johnny. I'm just going to say consistency at the quarterback position.
Grumpy. All right, let's toss it up to our next segment. It's a nice little feature we have on Vanderbilt stadiums.
Hey guys, I'm Amanda. Today we're going to take a look at the different Vanderbilt athletic facilities. The football stadium, basketball stadium, Memorial Gym, and the creative use of space and having them all located in the same spot. However, on the other hand, this also limits our expansion in the future. So we're going to go take a look at how we've maximized the space that we have. So here we are at Memorial Gym, which you guys know is the home of our basketball team. What you might not know is that the baseball stadium has managed to fit their own batting cage on the bottom end of it. We're going to go walk over and take a look. So here we are at the concourse of the football stadium, and what you may not have noticed is that if you look to your left, it's the shared concourse of the baseball stadium. So even if the football stadium wanted to expand, there's no possibility to because it would run right into the baseball stadium. So here we are at Section P, which is the student section, and while many of you are walking to your seats, you might not have even noticed this door right here, where the baseball stadium has managed to fit their own facilities right under our feet. Here we are underneath the student section of the football stadium, where the baseball team has their own pitching lab, with mounds and other equipment to help them perfect their craft. The pitching lab is great because it allows the baseball team to come down and pitch even in the winter when the weather's bad or at other times when the weather can be unpredictable, especially here in Nashville. So now we're going to go walk out into the football stadium. And again, you can see that even if football wanted to expand, they wouldn't be able to because they'd be running right into the baseball stadium. So today we've seen all the different and creative ways that our athletic teams have been able to maximize their space. However, if we want to expand in the future, we really have to continue to think of other ways to do this, such as when the football team moved across the field to create an indoor practice facility. Now the baseball team was able to expand when they created extra outfield seating. However, if they want to continue to expand, they really have to either get more creative, such as the ways in which they put the pitching lab underneath the field, or leave like the football team did. And since we just won the national championships, they may be considering this sooner than later. I'm Amanda Marcatulio. Now back to you guys.
Welcome back. I'm with Virginia now, and we're going to recap some of the other sports, starting with golf. So at the Tavistock Collegiate Invitational, the Commodores just top to bottom played really well throughout. Hunter Stewart ended up winning, and with Carson Jacobs, his teammate, in second, and freshman Theo Humphrey finished 7th.
And as a team, we ended up finishing 2nd in the tournament, just behind Florida State. We actually beat out number 1 ranked Illinois, and now we're ranked number 15. It's a good season for the boys golf team.
Men's tennis team also experienced some success over the weekend. They hosted the Ohio Valley Regional Championship and there's 5 days of tennis, just a lot going on there. 23 teams involved, and over probably near 200 matches. AJ Austin ended up making it to the finals for the singles, and he fell to Watson of Memphis. On the way there, it was tough for him because he had to play against his teammates for both the quarterfinals and the semifinals, so really tense in the Curry Tennis Center. And AJ teamed up with Reese Johnson, and they ended up winning the doubles championship and will advance to the National Indoor Championships in November in New York.
Sounds like there's a lot of inter-team rivalry this weekend for the men's tennis team, and there's also a lot of rivalry for the women's tennis team. This weekend in Ohio, Cindy Campbell beat her teammate, Rachel Olson, Courtney Colton, for the regional singles title.
Women's cross country went up to Wisconsin for the Adidas Invitational, where they got 9th. It was a really stacked competition, so they're really proud of that finish.
And their win in Wisconsin moved them up from number 27 in the U.S. track and field rankings to number 14.
And after a bit of a slump, the women's soccer team got 2 wins, 2 SEC wins, one over Mississippi State and the other over UT.
And it's almost like it's a one-girl show on the women's soccer team. Simone Charlie scored all 3 of their goals in their 2 wins, and she is now co-SEC Player of the Week.
That will be it for today, so thanks for watching, and go Doors.
Go Doors.